How to tell if you've actually torn your pec. I tore mine a year ago and I just got the surgery a couple of days ago because I got misdiagnosed in the A&E. So if you're watching this video, maybe that can help you prevent waiting that long. If you have a tear, it's good to get checked out as soon as possible by the doctors. So now I'm gonna give you some signs that you'll be able to tell if you had a pec tear or not. So the first thing is, when a pec tear happens, you usually hear a loud pop or you hear like a tearing sound. That's what I heard. Imagine you're trying to rip a towel. That's exactly what I heard. And then depending on what grade the tear is, you're gonna see bruising within the next 24 to 48 hours. You're gonna notice weakness. If the tear is grade 1 and you've only torn a little bit of muscle fibers, most likely you won't get any bruising or very tiny bruising. And also you won't notice any significant loss of strength. When it's grade 2, that's when it's a partial tear. So muscle fibers and part of the tendon is torn. Then you're gonna have bruising, and also you're gonna notice weakness in terms of like pressing strength and also adduction. So coming in. A good test that you can check if you've torn your pec is if you lift your arm here and you use your other arm. I can't use mine unfortunately. But if you use your other arm to support it under the elbow with your palm up on the other hand and you try pressing down, you'll be able to see it right here in the armpit area. If there's a gap, most likely you've torn your pec, because that's where the connective tissue is. That's where the pec attaches to the humerus, which is the bone in here. Okay? And grade 3 is when you've had a full tear. A full rupture, that's when the tendon comes off completely off the bone and you can't really move your arm, to be fair. That's when the muscle is completely detached, and then you'll be able to tell that you torn your pec. When my tear happened, it happened a year ago. On the 5th of May, I was getting ready for a grappling competition. I was 1 week out. I was sparring in the wrestling gym. And it was towards the end of the session. I was feeling good. I was feeling strong. And towards the end, my opponent went for an arm throw, which if you don't know what an arm throw is, I'm gonna just show you quickly in here. So he went for that and I was resisting, but couldn't resist anymore because my arm was going this way. So he used all of his force for him to turn my arm. So I had to turn. And once I turned, I heard a loud tearing noise. Basically like you're ripping a cloth or towel. And I was laying on the floor, couldn't get up. I couldn't move. I called my coach, who's also a doctor. He probably said I tore something. I had to stop the training because I couldn't continue. So my coach dropped me off at home, which I'm really grateful for. And after that, I had to go to A&E. When I went to A&E, I didn't have bruising or anything because it was too early. It was only like an hour after it happened. But I knew that something was wrong because I couldn't move. When I went to A&E, I only got an X-ray done, which X-ray shows only if there's a fracture or there's like broken bones or I think dislocations as well. It doesn't show the soft tissue, which is what we actually need when we have a tear. Okay. Yeah, I had an X-ray done. They told me, oh, you sprained your shoulder, go home, relax, put some ice on it. And I said, okay, yeah, I'll probably sprained my shoulder. After I went home, I was applying ice. Within 24 hours, my whole arm was purple and yellow. It was fully bruised, completely. I'm gonna attach a picture in here so you know what I'm talking about. So basically what the bruising is when there's a tear, especially where, like I mentioned, the pec attaches to the humerus. When there's a tear, there's internal bleeding. and it goes down the arm, then you're able to tell that most likely you have a tear. So I went to the hospital again. Fast forward like 2 weeks later, I got an MRI done. The issue was that this MRI didn't scan the pec, it only scanned the shoulder. So it missed the tear. Which, if you're getting an MRI, make sure you're getting an MRI that covers the tear, the pec, sorry. Make sure you're getting an MRI that covers the pec, okay? Or usually they want you to get 2 MRIs, one on the shoulder, one on the pec as well. Mine only covered the shoulder, and they said you're fine. There might be something on the pec, but further imaging is required. And I started recovering, in my opinion, and I had a huge gap in here where my armpit is. So all this part that you see, all this meat was missing on this side, okay? And I thought, yeah, maybe I'm getting better, A couple months went by and nothing was improving. So I started going to private physio, started going to doctors. The private physio said, oh, that's just some muscle atrophy, just build it back up, you know, bench press, flies, adduction, press ups, and all that stuff. Before I tore my pec, I was able to do like 70 press ups in a row, 70, 75, something like that. After a couple months later, I was down to 5 press ups and I couldn't do anymore. I was just in so much pain and there was so much weakness, and you could see a visible deformity. So where my pec is now, right now it's attached, lucky me. But when I used to contract my pec, I would only, it will create like this bulge in here, and there will be like this huge gap, like a massive hole in here. It wasn't nice and full like the other one. Make sure if you think you have a tear, you had it, or you have bruising, or you have any of the signs that I told you about, make sure you go to the doctor ASAP. Because with pec tears, the sooner you get it done, the better. The longer you wait, the less successful the surgery is gonna be, okay? So it's really important that you get it checked out as soon as possible. If they tell you, oh, you only strained your shoulder, or it's quite often that these tears get misdiagnosed, make sure you get MRI, okay? If you can't get it through the NHS or whatever, if you can fund it yourself, go and pay a private MRI just so it can cover this part in here, and then you can proceed with you pushing for surgery. It's very important that the surgery gets done within the first couple of weeks, I would say, because after that the tissue starts healing and there's a lot of scar tissue buildup, which basically the outcomes of the surgery are worse and worse. So it's really important, guys, that you go and get it checked out, okay? Like I said, there's many signs: bruising, you have a hole in here, you probably had a loud pop or tear. All of these are signs of a pec tear. Now, it depends what grade is it, like I mentioned, but it's important that you go and get it checked out. I got my surgery 5 days ago, so it's been a year later. So 1 year spent with a torn pec, and now I'm slowly recovering. They're gonna take my, I don't know if you can see, I'm in a sling still. They're gonna take my sling off in 6 days. So yeah, and after that I'll have to do a lot of physiotherapy. The full process of rehab is around 6 to 9 months, something like that. I have the advantage of being slightly on the younger side. I'm not super young, I'm 26, but still. Also, because I've trained for so long and my muscles are developed compared to an untrained person, an average person, that helps a lot. Because when you maintain muscle mass, that protects protects the body in a sense. It's like a body armor. Also, one thing I want to mention, what you're gonna notice is when you have a tear and it's been there for a long time, let's say you have torn muscle fibers, torn tendon, whatever, what you're gonna notice is shoulder pain, pain in the trap, which is constant, because what happens is when there's a tear in here, the other muscles get tighter in order for your body to protect the tear. So what happens is it creates a lot of tension in this area here, and it's normal for you to feel constant pain in there. But like I said, I can't stress this enough, guys. Go and get it checked out ASAP. It's very important. The sooner you get it checked out, the sooner you get it diagnosed, the better outcome you're gonna have. Don't be like me. I had mine a year later. So yeah, even though the surgeon had very positive outcomes, I would say a partial tear is probably harder to diagnose than a full tear, because when you have a full tear, you know that something's torn. Like you lose the shape of your pec. It just goes down like a massive boob. So yeah, go get it checked out, guys. If you have any more questions, let me know, please. I'm gonna try to be as helpful as possible. Also, I'm gonna document my journey, how I'm rehabbing, how I'm getting better, what I'm doing, how I'm still managing to train clients. So yeah, any questions you guys have, I'm here to help. Bye.